I used to think detachment was something you did after you got hurt enough times. Like eventually, if you cared too much and it didn't work out, you'd just shut something off inside yourself. You'd stop wanting things as badly. You'd stop reacting. You'd stop hoping. And somehow that was supposed to make you confident. But every time I tried to do that, I didn't feel confident at all. I felt disconnected, like I was watching my life instead of actually living it. And what bothered me the most was that everyone kept calling that growth. It took me a long time to realize that detachment isn't about disconnecting from your emotions. It's about disconnecting your worth from outcomes. And those two things get confused constantly. Most of us don't lose confidence because we care too much. We lose confidence because, at some point, caring quietly turned into needing things to go a certain way, needing responses, results, or reassurance to mean something about who we are. And once that happens, everything starts to feel heavier than it should.
Detachment sounds cold because of how it's usually presented online. It's framed like a tactic, like something you do to protect yourself by acting unbothered. Don't reply too fast. Don't explain yourself. Pull away first so you don't get hurt. But that isn't detachment. That's control. Real detachment isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about not letting your emotional experience hijack your nervous system. It's about being able to want things without your entire sense of self rising and falling based on whether they happen. And for women especially, this idea can feel uncomfortable. A lot of us were raised with the belief that caring deeply is part of our identity, that being emotionally invested, attentive, and thoughtful is what makes us valuable. So when someone says detach, it can feel like they're asking you to become colder, harder, or less feminine. But detachment doesn't remove softness, it removes fear. There's nothing wrong with attachment itself. Humans are wired for it. We're supposed to care. Wanting things deeply doesn't make you weak or naive. It makes you human. The problem starts when attachment quietly turns into overattachment. That shift happens when wanting something stops being about the experience itself and starts being about what it says about you. When I want this slowly becomes, I need this to work out so I can feel okay about myself. Once that happens, the outcome isn't just an outcome anymore. It becomes a verdict. And when your mind starts treating outcomes like verdicts, your nervous system doesn't stay neutral. It goes into protection mode. This is where confidence starts to erode, not all at once, but slowly, through tension and exhaustion. When something feels extremely important, your brain doesn't experience uncertainty as neutral. It experiences it as danger. So you start scanning. You replay conversations. You analyze tone shifts. You overthink what you said and what you should have said. You try to anticipate reactions before they happen. Not because you're insecure, but because your body thinks something important could be lost. This is what drains confidence. Not incompetence, not weakness, constant vigilance. A lot of what we call confidence issues are actually nervous system issues. You're not lacking self-belief. You're just tired from being on edge all the time. Confidence isn't loud. It's not dominance or bravado or walking into a room like you have something to prove. Confidence is internal safety. It's the feeling that you'll be okay, even if things don't go exactly how you want. When your worth is attached to outcomes, that safety disappears. You feel grounded only when things are going well. The moment something feels uncertain, your body tightens and your thoughts spiral. That kind of confidence is conditional. And conditional confidence always collapses under pressure. This is why detachment restores confidence. Because detachment takes your worth off the line. Healthy detachment doesn't mean you stop wanting things. It means you stop needing them to define you. It's the difference between caring and clinging. Detachment feels like being able to say, honestly, I want this, and I'll try for it. But I trust myself either way. Not in a forced, positive thinking way. In a grounded way. A way that comes from knowing you can handle disappointment without losing yourself. When detachment is real, it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels calming, like exhaling after holding your breath for too long. At its core, detachment is self-trust. Not trust that everything will work out, and not trust that people will always show up. Trust that you can regulate yourself emotionally. Trust that you can adapt. Trust that your worth isn't fragile. When that trust exists, emotions don't disappear, but they stop knocking you off center. You still feel disappointment, but it doesn't unravel you. You still feel uncertainty, but it doesn't make you question who you are. That steadiness is what people often mistake for power. There's a psychological idea sometimes called the law of reversed effort. It explains why the harder you try to force something emotionally, the more resistance you create inside yourself. You grip tighter. You feel more tense. You become less natural, less present. That tension shows up in how you speak, how you move, how you think. And that tension is what people often read as insecurity. Detachment loosens that tension. Not by not caring, but by releasing control. And when the grip loosens, confidence doesn't need to be manufactured. It comes back on its own. Letting go doesn't feel good at first, especially if control has always felt like safety. For a lot of women, attachment feels productive. It feels responsible, like effort and love and care. Detachment can feel unfamiliar, even irresponsible, like you're giving up. But discomfort doesn't mean something is wrong. It usually means your nervous system is adjusting to a new way of feeling safe, one that doesn't rely on constant monitoring. That adjustment takes time. Detachment doesn't make you indifferent. It doesn't make you emotionally unavailable. It doesn't turn you into someone who doesn't care. You can care deeply and still be detached. The difference is that your emotions no longer decide your worth for you. You stop negotiating your value every time something feels unclear. You stop bracing for impact. You start staying present. That's emotional maturity, and it's quiet. Detached confidence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't rush to explain. It doesn't overcompensate. It doesn't need constant reassurance. It adapts. It trusts. It stays. That's why it feels calming to be around. Not because it's strategic or manipulative, but because it's regulated. A lot of women were conditioned to overattach, to anticipate needs, to emotionally manage situations, to hold things together. Detachment can feel like losing identity because so much identity was built around being needed. But detachment doesn't take anything away. It gives you something back. Space to choose, space to breathe, space to exist without constantly proving your value. Over time, detachment stabilizes confidence in a way motivation never can. Emotional reactions soften. Self-doubt quiets. You stop swinging between highs and lows based on external feedback. Not because life becomes predictable, but because you stop needing it to be. Detachment isn't about caring less. It's about trusting yourself enough to let go. When you stop gripping outcomes for safety, you create room for calm, clarity, and quiet strength. Not the kind of confidence that performs, but the kind that stays. That's the psychology of detachment. Not coldness, not withdrawal, just coming home to yourself. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. And if you want more videos like this on confidence, emotional regulation, and self-trust, like this video and subscribe.